I'm Joe LaMonaco, and this is the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour with Ruth Rowe Campbell from Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisal. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you had a wonderful holiday.
Yes, I did.
And there will be no turkey talk.
And we are eating pizza tonight.
Do you get that way in your house after you have gone through a big holiday or a big food-related holiday? And Thanksgiving, Christmas, kind of the times, and Easter kind of in a way too, that once you're done with that holiday, you want nothing to do with the food that goes along with that holiday.
Exactly.
You know, it's like, please, anything
Except
but.
those leftover eater people.
You know what? I'm a big leftover person. I actually am. I am a person. Now, granted, that only lasts for a couple of days. And then by the time you get to maybe Sunday, I'm kind of done. I'm like, I don't need this again for another 12 months. I would be more than happy to take a step back. But some people are faster, and then some people love to just make it last as long as possible. They make a 25-pound turkey for two people because leftovers are more important than the meal.
Exactly. But how many sweet potatoes can one eat?
I have a very low threshold for sweet potatoes.
They're highly nutritious.
I know they're highly nutritious, but if I eat too many of them, I'll wind up sleeping for the next 4 days. They're very weighty in my system. But we are not here to talk about the meal, and we are not here to talk about leftovers. One of the things that this holiday season does, especially Thanksgiving, it gets us to focus inward a little bit more than maybe we do at other times of the year. And many people do have a tradition of going around the Thanksgiving table to say what they are grateful for, what they are thankful for. We're going to talk all about gratitude in this episode of the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour. We're going to be bringing in some stories coming up a little bit later on in the program, but I just wanted to lead off with why, Miss Ruth, did you decide that this wanted to be the topic for this time of year? Why'd you want to talk about this?
First of all, it is Thanksgiving, so it is seasonal. But also, people don't realize that gratitude is the key to life. Being thankful for whatever comes your way. Okay, and particularly in my line of work, being thankful you have a roof over your head. Okay,
yes,
it's kind of nice this time of year.
Yes, it is.
And there's different types of gratitude. There's emotional gratitude, which is what we feel, the feeling of gratitude. There's gratitude in action, which is, that feeling becomes action when you do something for someone else. And then there's the reflective gratitude, which is memory turned into understanding. You remember how good you had it, how good you feel, and you show that love for others. So it's important to remember at this time of year what gratitude is and how blessed we are.
We're going to talk more about those different types of gratitude coming up a little bit later on in the show. But as we get started, gratitude can be a great motivator. It really can be one of the best things that you can do to turn thought into action. Sometimes we wind up getting kind of stuck in our own heads or stuck in our own space, and we don't necessarily turn our gaze outward. Sometimes turning our gaze outward has to start by turning our gaze inward to think, well, as you mentioned, how good do I have it? The fact that I have been blessed in many ways.
We all have.
And how can I turn that into an action that can not only make me feel good inside, but also do some permanent good potentially for someone that maybe I've never met before or I will never meet.
Right.
But I've done something to help benefit them.
The beautiful people who cook the meals and hold the door open and pick up the phone and call you and show up when someone is tired, grieving, overwhelmed, simply hand in hand. But this is important. We must learn how to take care of ourselves first.
That's sometimes a hard thing.
It's not selfish.
No, but sometimes that's a hard thing to do, to allow yourself the grace to do that or the space to do that. Sometimes people keep that at arm's length because they don't feel that they should think of themselves.
Yes.
They must think externally.
Others, yes. And no, it's okay to take care of yourself. And we have a whole list of customers this year who we call the Gratitude Awards, and have done action to take care of their own well-being. And that's noteworthy. That's important.
That is, and again, it's something that sometimes I think many people feel that they don't have room for, or they can't allow room for. But as I think we've talked about this before, if you're not taking care of yourself, it is very difficult, darn near impossible, to provide assistance to others. Because if you are in a position of not being 100% or suffering or neglecting something that does need to be taken care of, either emotionally or spiritually or physically, then giving of yourself becomes that much more challenging, and maybe gets you to a point where you feel like you have to pull back from that, or you can't do that.
And here's the thing, to remember that we're not victims. We can be good to ourselves. We can take care of ourselves. And we are responsible for ourselves. And we've seen that in action this year in my company, in Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisal. And we have customers that we're nominating for the Gratitude Award this year.
What's it going to look like? What's the Gratitude Award going to look
like?
Well,
we've got gift certificates to send out. So all we do need is to hear from the public.
How very nice that would be something that you would want to recognize those people. And you hear countless stories.
Yes.
Everybody that comes through diggingfordeals.com has worked with Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals. Every job you have taken on comes with a story and background that, and we have shared some on this program in previous months, and we're going to revisit some of them later on, that it's not just a transaction. There's always some context that comes along with it, and realizing what people will do and have done is sometimes one of the most gratifying parts of your job, I would suspect, to figure and see how they got to where they are when they entered your door and you started picking up on their story.
Yes, every single one we help. We are the intermediary that provides the balm that soothes the wound. We point the way, we move them in the right direction, we open the doors, literally, for them to move forward in life. And at the end, guess what? Our home sellers and our consigners get paid. Now, that's not too bad.
No, that's not too bad that they wind up, because when you mentioned opening a door lets light in. And
yes.
In many cases, I would suspect, and we have heard these stories, some people feel that there is no way forward, that they're stuck with their things, their property, be it a home or a business,
their health,
things that have been closing them off. And because they made a step in to call you, to visit the website, to just say, can you help, started to crack that door open and let some light in. And when there's a source of light, you can start making movements towards that are intentional, that also consider your best interest, as well as the nice thing about getting paid. I always like that. That's a nice thing about it.
Yes.
But really, it's about one of the greater values is just helping them to move forward.
It's helping them to move forward, and it's okay to take care of oneself. And when you're better, then you'll realize the benefit of helping others.
We are all about
gratitude of helping others.
We are all about gratitude on this edition of the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour from Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals at diggingfordeals.com. And coming up, we're going to talk a little bit more. Emotional, practical, reflective. These are different types of gratitude. Maybe you experienced them all and you just didn't know what you were up to. We want to talk a little bit more. And then in the second half of our show, our nominees for the first ever Rowe Realty Gratitude Awards. We'll continue on the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour next on NewsRadio WHAM 1180. It is all about gratitude on this edition of the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour on NewsRadio WHAM 1180. I'm Joe LaMonaco with Ruth Rowe Campbell from Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals at diggingfordeals.com. Just a quick bit of housekeeping here. There is never a season where there isn't something happening at digginfordeals.com. Real estate auctions, collection auctions. Ruth has equipment and tools from time to time, and motor vehicles of all shapes and sizes, and big equipment, and office furniture, and all sorts of things. Go to digginfordeals.com, sign up for the newsletter to make sure that if you are in the market, if you're a buyer, if you want to participate in any of these, that you know what's coming up. No spam, just only the information that you request about what's coming up. And if you have a collection or real estate or something you need to divest yourself of, you don't have to go it alone. Ruth and her team are experts not only at marketing, getting your items in front of the right audiences, but also handling everything from a structural standpoint from online to make sure that it is seamless for you, because Ruth loves to deliver checks. That's one of the things she loves to do, is deliver checks when you get paid value for your items. So check everything out at digginfordeals.com, always open. We are talking in this Thanksgiving season, because it was just a couple days ago, about gratitude. That is our topic for this month's episode. Later on in the second half, we're going to tell you the nominees for our very first 2025 Rowe Realty Gratitude Awards. But first, I want to go back a little bit, because we kind of glossed over this a little bit. I want to take a little bit more of a deep dive on it, on the types of gratitude that we are talking about. And I want to start with emotional gratitude, and maybe have you talk a little bit more about how you view that, so we can talk a little bit more about how people may be expressing it or feeling it a lot. Maybe you don't think of yourself as somebody who is someone who expresses gratitude in any way, but maybe you do, because you just didn't know what you were up to.
Or sometimes it's a feeling that we just digest. We don't understand that we're feeling gratitude. Mm-hmm. But let's say you're struggling, and all of a sudden you have this beautiful feeling that you're alive, you're loved, somebody contacts you, something happens to you that makes you feel thankful for being alive, in spite of the fact that you're struggling.
Yeah.
Okay? That is the feeling of gratitude, emotional gratitude.
You've called it a heart spark.
Heartfelt.
Yeah.
Heart spark, yes.
And that can be something that's very... It can be
good.
Very small, too. I had this happen to me the other day. I was working along, just doing my thing. I keep my phone next to me, and my phone goes off, and I look at the name that comes in on it. It's one of my contacts. It's one of my professional contacts. But I haven't talked to this person in a couple of years, haven't had a need to. And he reached out to me and says, I haven't talked to you in a while. I just wanted to see what you were up to and how you were doing. I'm like, aw.
Wonderful.
What a wonderful feeling that you have, and how that can carry you forward to maybe you wanting to go through your contacts and say, oh, look, there's somebody I haven't talked to. I don't know what they're up to. Maybe I'll just call them out of the blue. And,
yes.
And what a wonderful thing that will do for them, the heart spark they will feel when I make the effort to do that. And it's such a small thing.
It's a process of emotional gratitude. You recognize that how blessed you are, how just to have life in your body and to be alive and living in what we have, that is thankfulness, that is gratitude, that is emotional gratitude. We haven't done anything with it yet.
Yes.
But it's good for us.
And it moves us into practical gratitude.
Exactly.
And sometimes it can move it into. And as I mentioned, it can be as simple as picking up the phone and making the call. It can be that spark that starts in your heart can lead you to getting up and doing something tangible, either a text, a call, getting out of your house to go and seek something out that you wish to contribute yourself to. And your time is valuable, by the way.
Touch someone else. Mm-hmm. Touch a person that didn't expect you to just look them in the eye and say, Happy Thanksgiving, or Merry Christmas, or how are you? Okay, somebody I'm talking to out there, call your parents. They need to hear from you.
Yeah, you just need to hear their voice. And quite honestly, it does more for you, too.
Mm-hmm.
And
exactly.
I say this to my folks all the time. I'm blessed that I have both of my parents still alive.
Wonderful.
Dad just turned 84, survived triple bypass surgery a few months ago and is on his road to recovery.
Wonderful.
Mom will be 84 in the spring. They're still together, 58 years. And I am grateful every time when I call and I hear their voice come back to me on the other side.
What do they call you? Do they call you?
I'm Joey.
Joey.
I've always
isn't it
been
cute?
Joey. Well, because I'm a junior. Dad's Joe Senior.
Okay.
And so to differentiate, I am Joe. I'm Joey. And I will always be that to them.
That's wonderful.
But on the practical side, it doesn't take much to show that. Sure, we think of big gestures like I'm going to volunteer to cook a meal. I'm going to do something. I'm going to go and, I have a family member that's having a little rough time. I'm going to help them out with money, or I'm going to help clean their house because they just can't physically get to it right now. But simply, as you mentioned, Ruth, a practical sign of gratitude can be looking someone in the eye and saying, hello, good morning, good afternoon. Acknowledging that other person also has life and also exists and is in our world.
Yes. Old-fashioned, isn't it?
Isn't it, though? It does seem a little bit that way, but a small act of kindness can be a huge act of gratitude that may help snowball somebody into, is a domino effect potentially you're starting just by kicking one of them over.
We call it practical gratitude. Now you feel it, so you pass it on.
And I want to talk about that last one that you mentioned. You called it reflective gratitude. Explain what we mean by that.
Well, it's mostly a memory.
Okay.
But what it does is it turns into your understanding, particularly as you age. They do say that there is wisdom in age, and I've discovered that is true. Okay? I'm a lot wiser now than I was, no offense,
Yes.
when I was in my 20s.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay? Absolutely. But it's turns into understanding. We pause to ask, what have I been given? Who has carried me?
Yeah.
Okay? What grace showed up at the moment that I didn't deserve it? I'm so grateful for my husbands in life. I've shared with people before that I've been married 3 times. I have 2 late husbands and a third that's still alive. Thank you. It's understanding how blessed we are. And when you have all 3, you have emotional, you have practical, and you have reflective gratitude. Wow.
And you can also see how none of them stand alone, though.
Yes,
they
I
all
agree.
They all do have some connection, and you can express gratitude in many different ways. As I just mentioned, it doesn't take a large act. It takes acknowledging it. I think for a start, it does start with you to acknowledge what you have, what others have given to you, and then how you can take an action, great or small, and pay that gratitude forward to someone else. And there's a double benefit here. The person who is getting that phone call out of the blue is going to have their day brightened. You are going to feel good because you didn't just think a thought, you acted on a thought. Especially when it comes to interactions with others, family members and friends. They need to know. And even if it's just a quick text with a heart to just say, love you. And that's all it is for today.
Oh, but they want to hear your voice, Joey.
I know, but sometimes... all right, I'll let you get away with it, too. We are talking gratitude on this edition of the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour, and coming up, our nominees for the very first Rowe Realty Customer Gratitude Awards. We're going to share some stories and more perspectives from Miss Ruth when we continue. Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals you'll find at digginfordeals.com, and you'll find more of us when we continue right here. Next on News Radio WHAM 1180. Welcome back to the second half of the gratitude edition of the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour on News Radio WHAM 1180. I'm Joe LaMonaco with Ruth Rowe Campbell from Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals at digginfordeals.com. Throughout this year, we have talked a lot about what Ruth does, the nuts and bolts of her business, the real estate market. We've talked about selling to auction. We talked about all the things that Ruth and her incredible team, it's small, but it is mighty here at Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals. We've talked about that. This time, we're taking a slightly different approach. As we mentioned at the beginning of the show, every time a new client comes to Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals, they not only bring the job that comes with them, but they bring a story with them. And many times, that story includes an item of gratitude. Maybe they don't even realize it, but as Ruth gets to know them, and that's what she does for all her clients, gets to know them, gets to know their story, to be able to find the proper path forward that not only helps them see some light by cracking open a door that may have been closed for a long time, to help them unburden themselves, be it physically, emotionally as well. Sometimes the two are very well connected, but they also get to experience some type of gratitude as well. Not only does Ms. Ruth and her team get to experience it, but her clients get to experience it as well. We're going to share some stories of things that you have seen, some nominees that you want to put out there.
Yes.
The names have been changed except for one because he's been a guest on the show twice. We'll get to him in a minute. But we're going to be talking about some of these stories that you have experienced and the situations where gratitude has blossomed as a result of your working with your clients.
Yes. Well, first of all, we nominate Cynthia and Ellen because they had a dear friend with dementia, a woman who had no immediate family members. Her family was in Canada. And these two women single-handedly sold all her belongings plus her real estate and took care of her as she moved into assisted living. Now that is a huge undertaking. And it took them a good year or more to get everything organized, sold, and cashed out to help their dear lifelong friend.
Someone who is external to their immediate families, but who felt like family, was a part of their family. And needed someone, and that person needed someone, or now two people, to be the guide, to be the one. They were not able to open that door to let some light in. They needed someone to do that. And these two, and Cynthia and Ellen said,
practical
it
gratitude
will be us.
Yes.
And they will take this on. And thankfully, they had you and the team to help.
We did help.
To do that.
Yes, we did. But they were the spearhead. So they're our first nominee. We're also nominating Peter, who closed his business, took care of his wife, Frances, when diagnosed with cancer. Now cancer-free and living in Florida.
Yay.
But we sold their commercial building, their business assets, and their personal residence. So think of all the cash they're bringing in at the end of the year.
And think of all of the weight that they might have felt on themselves.
Yes.
With a business, everything that went along with the business, a personal residence, everything inside they didn't want to take with them. That is a mountain of things.
A mountain of things, yes. Amazing, amazing couple. We also are nominating John, who received an inheritance, the home he grew up in, and he trusted us to do a live online auction to turn the house and the property into cash. Now, this is a demonstration of emotional gratitude. He's doing it. He's taking care of himself, but he's using it to improve his health in his life, in his sanity.
Yeah. And sometimes it'll be, I can't sell the family home. There's too much.
Yes. There's all kinds of excuses. I could never part with it.
And back to what we talked about at the beginning of the show. If you can't take care of yourself,
you can't take care of anyone else.
And so you need to wind up giving yourself that grace and showing yourself some gratitude.
Exactly.
And it's okay to do that. Speaking of which, let's talk about Grace.
Grace, she was a special lady, single-handedly cleaned and prepared her husband's home. He was incapacitated, monumental undertaking to get it ready for sale, and then helped him get through closing. They did go their separate ways, but this was the plan, and it would have never happened without Grace.
It would have never happened if she'd have said, "Okay, I'm just going to walk away from this and leave it to you." An act of gratitude towards practical gratitude before. And also there's all the gratitude in there, quite honestly.
And she made it happen.
And it took that person to be able to say, I'm going to make some calculated moves because this is what needs to happen.
And her husband regained health, and even though they went their separate ways, it worked out perfectly.
Let's meet Mary.
Mary! Oh my gosh. Sad story. She was actually forced out of her home due to a water leak on her property, a water line break.
Oh, wow.
Terrible situation. Could not get any assistance. Decided to sell the home, paid off her mortgage, and walked away with cash to move on.
Oh.
Okay. Now, this was a horrible situation, but she did the right thing for herself and the home and her family, who is observing her and seeing how she's handling this situation.
Mm-hmm. To see what kind of strength can be there in walking away, because it's not beneficial for you to remain and try to dig yourself out of a hole that keeps getting bigger.
Life sometimes hands us lemons, but
make a nice meringue.
Exactly.
Mike and Kathy.
Mike and Kathy selflessly cared for their home, their neighborhood, and their neighbors for 42 years. You can imagine living 42 years, same neighborhood, same house, raised their family, did everything perfectly the way they wanted to, and then bought the farm they always wanted.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It is nice. It's nice to hear they were good to themselves, and that's okay.
Yeah, and they can finally get to a place that they always dreamed of being in.
Together.
Yeah, and being together after 40 plus years in the same place.
They told me, well, we never got around to it. It never happened. We never thought it would, but it did.
Yeah.
They took action.
Yeah, they had the spark, and they kept that spark alive. Sometimes that little heart spark, you have to fan those flames for a while, but eventually that ember will grow if you allow it to, if you give it the space to, and to think that you can make room for it to happen.
And they had taken care of their whole neighborhood.
Yeah.
And neighbors.
Yeah. Well, those neighbors are going to be very grateful for them.
Okay.
Sarah is another person who was taking care of a spouse.
Another one, tirelessly cared for her husband before he passed, paid all his debts after he was gone, sold the family homestead, and moved on to create a new life for herself. This was not easy for Sarah. This was a hard place because she was alone. And we brought some clarity and some life into her situation. She heard us on WHAM.
Oh, very nice.
She's a loyal WHAM listener.
Very nice.
Okay. And now she has improved her life.
Yeah.
She has a pile of cash too.
Not bad to have a little seed money to start that next one. We got a couple more here. Let's talk about Deborah.
Deborah, longtime home. Oh, she was my world traveler.
Okay.
She had an extra piece of property that she owned. She had bought it as a young person and it had appreciated. She had it leased, but she was in love with this home. She decided to sell and travel the world.
She was in love with that piece of property and what it meant to her, and and probably the time of life that she remembers.
She owned it. Yes.
But she had a goal, and she wanted to pay herself towards that goal. And parting company with that place, it can be an emotional break, but again, it all goes back to showing yourself that level of grace and gratitude.
Taking care of, being aware of what you need.
Couple more. Another couple, Anna and Joe.
Yes, Anna and Joe trusted us to sell their precious, historic church. Okay, Anna is the sole secretary and treasurer of a historic, beautiful Finger Lakes Church. And there's a time when you have to move on and repurpose a structure, repurpose. And she was wise enough, and with the aid of her husband, Joe, they were wise enough to make that happen and allow us to participate in that.
And to know that building is going to have a new life and a new purpose.
No.
And and is going to pay that gratitude forward to possibly a generation that they will never meet.
Exactly. Now, they don't get a dime. Okay? There is zero in it for them. But they still felt the need, the practical gratitude to do that.
And last one is our friend Clarence.
Oh, our friend Clarence.
Who has been on the show twice. I loved meeting him when he was here in our studio the last time. But let's just remind people.
Successful business owner.
Not only a successful business owner, a successful caretaker for his wife who passed a few years ago.
Yes.
And Clarence was another one of those persons who could very well have gotten stuck where he was. But
he chose to downsize. He started downsizing. It took him 5 years. But he cashed in a lot of his belongings, a lot of his valuable, marketable belongings, and decided to go into independent living, which is a senior apartment complex, very beautiful, balcony, 3 meals a day, wonderful.
And he's a social butterfly.
Like a resort.
Yeah, and we know that he has already been out intermingling with those.
Yes, he has a lady friend.
Yes, and he is, from the first time we met him, we knew that this was the right move to show himself a level of gratitude for everything that he had done in his life.
Everything that he has done, yes.
He needed help to get over that pile. When it comes to opening the door to let the light in, Ruth and the team was able to do that to help him move through. He had tried to do some things on his own, but having the team help expedite the process so that he can concentrate on him, taking care of himself, so that he could move on to whatever the next chapter is going to be with a whole new group of people around. Because Clarence was a business person. He was building his career on relationships. He thrives on relationships.
Yes.
And that's what he needed to put back in his life in order to pay himself forward.
And it's not easy losing a spouse.
No.
Okay?
Not at all.
So he made the decision to move in the right direction.
And we are so grateful that he did that and he shared our story. We are grateful for that. And those are all of the nominees.
Rowe Realty Gratitude Awards.
And we'll keep you posted on who's going to get what. But in the meantime, what are you grateful for? If you'd like to share it with Miss Ruth, you can do that. You can send her an email at digginfordeals.com, DIGGIN for deals.com. We would love to hear your feedback on what we've been talking about. And also, free to check out what's going on. Not only what's happening in the auction world, what's on the block currently at digginfordeals.com. Maybe you are in a position where you need to show yourself some grace and gratitude, because it is time to downsize, because it is time to divest yourself of things that you feel are a weight, that you don't want to take the time or have the resources to sell on your own or to find new life for. Ruth and the team would be happy to talk with you about it. No matter what that collection or equipment or property happens to be, reach out to them at digginfordeals.com to do that. All right, stand by. Final break. We're going to come back and wrap things up on this edition of the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour next on News Radio WHAM 1180. We are back to wrap things up on our gratitude edition of the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour on News Radio WHAM 1180. Joe LaMonaco with Ruth Rowe Campbell from Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals at digginfordeals.com. We have been talking all about gratitude in this episode, and this is the perfect time of year to do it, because I think we're more focused on that coming off of Thanksgiving.
We should be.
And I think really this can be a reminder that we can be focused on gratitude at all times. It does not take grand gestures. It can take very small gestures to ourselves and to others to express things that we don't often express enough. Sometimes we feel like we get to a point where it's like, oh, I only wish I had. Well, how about do that today?
It makes us a better person, even if it's only being good to yourself.
Yeah.
Makes you a better person.
It's okay to put yourself first.
Yep.
In that regard. So what are you grateful for, Miss Ruth?
Well, I'm number one grateful for the mentors who have shaped my life, beginning with my parents. Okay. I'm grateful for God's unmerited grace, steady and undeserved. I'm grateful for my ability to work, to serve, to help others move forward when life becomes heavy or complex for them. And I'm grateful for the opportunities and open doors that have come my way, earned unexpected, deeply grateful for people who surround me every day, my staff, my clients, and customers. And guess what? I'm grateful for the place we live. I'm grateful for this beautiful Great Lakes region, the largest freshwater system on Earth, planet Earth. Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, Niagara Falls, and Great Lake, Ontario. The Iroquois called it the Sparkling Waters. This place, these people, this purpose, these are the things that I appreciate and love.
All right, well, I didn't get a chance to prepare, so I'll add mine on top. I am grateful for my mom and dad.
Amen.
The fact that they are still both with me. Many people do not have that luxury. I have seen at my age many of my friends that have had to say goodbye to their moms and dads. Many have done so in the past year.
Yes.
And I am very grateful that despite the challenges that they have had health-wise, that they are both there to support each other. And I'm grateful for my brother Jim, who has been taking the lead these last few months in helping my folks get through my dad's surgery and get them back in the house and prepare them by their choice to move to a senior community, which we hope will happen within the next couple of months.
I'll put in a good word for you.
Thank you. I do appreciate that. I do. I'm very grateful for the people in my professional life who have been my mentors for now 31 years at WHAM. I can't believe it. It's been 31 years. I wanted to be in this community of broadcasters since I was a kid, and I got a chance to live that out, and I continue to live that out, and to be able to
an influencer.
Share. Well,
before there were influencers.
I appreciate the fact that I have had the opportunity to be part of telling so many stories. My life has been enriched with the stories that I have heard from other people that I've had a chance to share. I am grateful for all of the wonderful organizations, nonprofit community service organizations that I've had the opportunity to help in their fundraising efforts over these many years, including but not limited to the Hochstein Music School, the Child Advocacy Center of Rochester, many of the Catholic schools in our region, including Pius X, St. John Bosco School, Chesterton Academy of Rochester, Seton School.
Bishop Kearney.
I haven't had a chance to raise money for them yet, but maybe I will one day. To the Rochester Hearing and Speech Center, to Cancer Support Community, and all of these wonderful people that I have met as a result of standing in front of a room of people and asking them to be grateful and asking them to be generous. And it has been my extreme honor to have done this. I'm grateful for my wife, Linda, who has put up with me, quite honestly, who has been my best friend since college. We have been at each other's side for 32 years and married for 22 of those years. And I could not think of a better partner to have by my side to keep my brain in check, and for me to offer her guidance and support when she needs it, and to just be there for each other in the big times and the little times.
Isn't it nice to be married to your best friend?
It truly is. In our final minute here, I just want to share with the rest of you, think about what you are grateful for. As we started the show, we will end the show. How do you feel gratitude? How do you allow yourself to feel gratitude? And then how can you take that and turn it into something that is tangible for others? Whether it be a small phone call, whether it be about something that you can give of yourself financially or otherwise, how can you express it? And how can we all wind up having this wonderful feedback loop of gratitude as we go through this season?
That's right.
And into 2026. Ms. Ruth, what a great topic. Thank you for bringing it to us. In the meantime, you want to reach out to Ms. Ruth Rowe Campbell at Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals? do it at digginfordeals.com, DIGGIN for deals.com. We'll be back for one more episode this week, right after the Christmas holidays, this year, right after the Christmas holiday. So come on back for that next month. In the meantime, find it at digginfordeals.com. Miss Ruth, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Joe.
And we will see you all next time for another Truth for Ruth Radio Hour.
My pleasure.
On News Radio WHAM 1180.